In state history, an African-American woman was elected sheriff here in Minnesota. We're talking about Hennepin County Sheriff DeWanna Witt.
She was sworn in just last month and replaced former Sheriff Dave Hutchinson. She's joining us live this morning. So good morning, Sheriff Witt. Thank you for joining us.
Well, Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We're just kicking off Black History Month. Today is February 1st. And as Rena just mentioned, you made history here in Minnesota as the first Black sheriff, the first woman in charge of the Sheriff's Department. So what does this mean for you and residents here in Hennepin County?
Well, first off, I'm humble. I'm humble to have this experience. I realize how huge this is, especially for other people like in the Black community or BIPOC communities in general. It's something that I'm just looking forward to experiencing the whole deal, because I was that child who didn't see myself in such position. I don't think I understand the magnitude of it yet, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. And we want to talk about you have a unique history, your upbringing, and what drew you into law enforcement. And being a Black woman, it makes you in a unique position to really kind of bridge the gap in our community between the community and law enforcement. What are your hopes on how to make that happen? And I know that's a big question to ask, but I mean, what are your hopes for that?
Well, my hope is to show others that, even when we have those moments that we don't think these type of huge responsibilities are within our reach, they are. I was the person who didn't think that I would ever be someone that's, one, in law enforcement, two, someone who is responsible for such a large agency. I never saw myself going into law enforcement in general because of my background, my history. But you know what? I tell people often that I used to think it was an accident that I got into law enforcement. But, after several years into this field, I knew it was my purpose. I still feel that way 22 plus years later.
That's incredible. And we do see you're in Washington, D.C. today. What are you doing there today?
Yes, we have the major county sheriffs conference here. So it's interesting because, on our day one, we talked about Tyre Nichols. We talked about everything that's going on in Memphis, but it's networking with other major counties. Minnesota is the only the sheriff's office, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, is the only county that's a part of this association. So it is networking with my other sheriffs across the country, and talking about things that are affecting sheriff's offices in particular.
Awesome. Sheriff DeWanna Witt, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. And we're about to tell people something cool that's happening coming up next. So coming up on the Today Show, Blayne Alexander is going to be talking to Sheriff Witt about her first few weeks in office and how she became the first Black woman in Minnesota to hold that position. It's all to celebrate, I should say, the start of Black History Month. Very cool.
See that glass ceiling broken.
Yes.
Way to go, Sheriff Witt. Thanks for the time. All right, let's give you a look at